Again, thanks everybody for being here. In case you don't know me, my name is Tim Miner. I am one of the co-founders, along with Matt Olin, of Charlotte is Creative. And as you may know, our mission at Charlotte is Creative, put simply, is to help individual artists and grassroots arts organizations to function more effectively as small businesses. And on one side that might say, "Oh, I don't want to go into business," but you are. What you do is valuable. It's valuable to you. It's valuable to our community. It feeds both our quality of life and reputation here, but it also is vital to the economic viability and strength of our city. Having a wide array of business, not just large corporations, not just banks, not just financial institutions, not just engineering and manufacturing. That's good for Charlotte. And it's also good for people that want to follow a different path. But what we've seen in our work is that oftentimes people that are incredibly skilled at their creative craft, and that can run the gamut from music to fiber art to muraling to forms of culinary, particularly artistic ends of the culinary spectrum. All of that, we need you to do well from a business perspective to survive and thrive. We want you to not have to function as a starving artist or always have to wonder where your next dollar is coming from. We want you to have health insurance. We want you to have a retirement plan. And to do that, we have to, as creatives, dive into those things that maybe we don't all love. How to do the books, how to plan ahead, how to market, how to get your legal contracts in order, all of that. And so in order to strengthen that, in 2021, we established the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative, or you'll hear us refer to it as CEI. This CEI provides, as Sathy just said here, community, training, and social capital. This is an opportunity for you to get some introduction to business concepts that can make a huge difference in your ongoing ability to move from perhaps doing creativity in the margins of your life to full-time. It is introducing you to concepts that and individuals and organizations and resources that exist in the Charlotte market to strengthen you. It's not the end of your journey, it's the beginning. And it's the beginning, hopefully, of a relationship that we'll have with you, that you'll have with the other members of the cohort, and the community at large. So your time in the program is designed to strengthen your understanding of what is needed to be a viable business, the people that can help you, and the resources in Charlotte that can strengthen you, and more importantly, where to go next. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Sathy Raval, who is the project manager of CEI. Should you get accepted into one of the cohorts next year, you will get to know her well. And I want to say this at the beginning. I'm going to say it multiple times today. While we know that everyone's ultimate goal is to be in the cohort, understand that somewhere between 7 to 10 of the business training courses that we offer through CEI twice a year are open to public audit. We're undergoing them right now. You can start going, and that does not preclude you from participating in the future. And if anything, it strengthens your reputation and your application. And with that, Sathy, I promise you, now I am finished talking for a while.
Not a problem. Thanks, Tim. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. We love when people come to the info session for any available opportunity. It just shows that you're super interested in learning more, and we want to make sure that you know that we are available to help answer any questions, and that we are accessible to talk things through if you need additional support. So Tim, of course, gave you an overview of CEI and how it got started. But if you were accepted into the cohort, then these are some of the things that you can expect. This is a 10-week program where each Monday night cohort members meet for one introductory business class. Each of these classes will introduce you to new business leaders in the Charlotte community. So all of our classes are taught by business professionals here in Charlotte. And from cohort to cohort, we switch up some of the instructors. So let's say you've audited a class this fall and you receive, you get into the cohort next spring or next fall. Some of the classes might look different from season to season. And that is because we are constantly surveying and getting feedback from our cohort members about what are some of the topics you're interested in learning about? What are some of the questions you have? And then we try and match those topics to instructors here in Charlotte. And then each instructor has a different way of teaching, so we like to change it up from cohort to cohort. So in addition to all of this increased social capital, networking opportunities with the instructors, with your cohort members, we also bring CEI alumni back, and they do introductions. They have opportunities where you can continue engaging with them, learning about them, hearing about their experience in CEI and now where they are. We also have promotion for cohort members on Instagram through the Biscuit, which is our newsletter, and through WBTV opportunities. So there are plenty of ways that we then use this opportunity to get the word out about who you are as an artist, who our cohort members are, how people can go about hiring them, and connecting with them. As I mentioned, we have almost 100 alumni for the CEI program. We are, this is a really rich and beautiful group of creatives here in Charlotte who are all working really hard individually and together. They collaborate on projects now that they've been through this program. We do alumni gatherings once a quarter, bringing folks together to hear about, you know, where you are, what are your current challenges, how can we then continue to stay engaged. So again, as Tim mentioned, this is just the beginning. Alumni stay in touch with us through coming back as reviewers for grants and for opportunities like CEI. They come back as speakers. They are continuing to stay engaged with us, and we continue to promote their work as well. Each instructor prepares learning materials. There's usually a presentation deck. There's homework and questions to think about before and after the class. All of these materials will be available to you during your time in CEI and then after as well for you to then reference. We value your time as a creative. This is, an additional chunk of time that you will be dedicating to coming to class. And so each cohort member receives a $50 stipend to attend the 10 classes. And then in addition to this, for cohort members that attend at least 8 of the 10 classes, they will receive a $1,500 grant to then invest back into their creative business. And maybe Tim mentioned this, but we've asked a lot of our cohort members some of the things that really stand out about their CEI experience. And as much as the $1,500 grant is important, it goes a long way. It's the community, it's the relationships that are built in the program, and it's the access to resources that people continue to say are the most valuable aspects of the program. These are just some of the class topics. And again, these topics change from semester to semester. But some of the things that experts will talk about are finance, budgeting, bookkeeping, getting organized with your finances, really thinking through those taxes and what it means and how to go about structuring your financial plan. Pitching and storytelling. So this is and I'll put business communication in here as well, and marketing and public relations. These are ways that you communicate who you are, what your business is, to your customers, your audience, to people who know you, people who might not know you, whether it's online through social media on your website, or if you are giving a presentation. So you'll get feedback and training to really build that up for yourself. We usually have a project manager come talk a little bit about setting goals, planning, project managing, again, staying organized. A legal expert comes and breaks down what to look out for in a contract. I'm sure many of us are working with clients who give you a contract, and it's sometimes hard to figure out how to read it and how to define those terms. Or you're creating a contract for somebody that you might want to hire. So it's just really it's a way to get familiar with the language so that it is not so daunting and it's not so foreign to us. Then we have opportunities to really think about how you create grant proposals or proposals for corporate clients. So again, a lot of this is storytelling. It's who you are as a business, and it's shaping that through some of the vegetables like budgeting, and then or legal contracts, and then some of the aspects of pitching and storytelling that really help you communicate who you are as a business. Tim.
Yeah, I was going to say what's not on the list too is you get time with us at Charlotte is Creative, and that's not to say that we are the end all and be all of we're not all you're going to need to build your career, but what we pride ourselves on is being connectors. So the successful folks in CEI ask for time or our opinions or say, hey, I'm working on X, I don't know where to take it, or this has come along, can you help me? And we match you up with programs. Like I just saw what Michelle said about, is there anything in the mental health category? We will connect you to programs in Charlotte that offer that. The CLT Business Alliance has a program that they developed. This program, we while we would love to do everything for you, it's very focused on the business aspects of things, and we're racing to get through even the 10 topics that we have. But Michelle, that's a great thing. You ask for something that you feel you need or that you want or that would be good for the sector. We pride ourselves on going and trying to connect you and others to what maybe if we don't offer it, we'll find somebody who does that you can connect with. And that's you, as Sethu said, our end goal here is not that you're not going to emerge an expert on all these topics, but you are going to emerge knowing more than you know now about it, understanding more about how to integrate it into your plan, and with an understanding of who you can turn to in the market that can provide or deepen your understanding of or your exposure to those topics and services.
Thank you. Yep, absolutely. We currently have, so the program Tim was mentioning with CLT Alliance Foundation is called Catch Your Breath. And they actually have an event coming up, Michelle, if you want to look into that. But it's things like this. We have partners at, different business accelerator programs, different corporations, different organizations here in Charlotte. They're constantly sending us, hey, we really want your cohort members or CEI alums to know that these programs are out there or this event exists. So I'm constantly emailing the folks that have been through our programs or currently are in them with links and discounts to sign up for these programs. It's a great point, Michelle. Okay, who should apply? What are some of the eligibility requirements? So I'll go through some of the easier ones first. We are looking, this program is funded through Mecklenburg County. So one of the requirements is that you must reside in Mecklenburg County. So that's a pretty, easy definition of yes or no. If you do not, if for any reason you are not living in Mecklenburg County, that doesn't exclude you from auditing 7 of the 10 classes that are open for audit. So again, it's please keep that in mind. It is so, we want to make sure that people know that our classes are available to the public to attend. You get to ask questions, and it's a really amazing experience. So please do come out. Tim, did you want to add something? Sorry, your hand's raised.
When you through this list, I do have one note I want to make, but please.
Go ahead.
One thing I'll be the bad guy because this comes up frequently. We have a very wide array of, our definition of creativity or artist is pretty broad. One thing that we have to draw a line somewhere. In addition to the fact that Mecklenburg County provides a large percentage of our funding, so that's why we have the to be in the cohort, you have to reside in Mecklenburg County. The other is, and this is a frequent question, so I'll answer it. If you are in the healing arts, yoga, Reiki, other things like that, you are again very welcome to attend our programming, but that is not something that we count. That's not a creative practice that is eligible for CEI, and that I know that can be upsetting to some folks, but at a certain point we have to draw some lines, and that's when we have drawn, unless you have a more traditional art bent aspect or collaboration that's part of your work in that category.
Thanks, Tim. Yes. And then, really are you a creative? You've been working on your craft for a while now, or you've discovered something that you're really good at, creative practice that you want to use to make an income, right? You want to sell a product or you want to sell a service, and you really want to grow as an entrepreneur. So this is the right program for you if you feel like you fit that category. We will ask in the application for to see a sample of your work, or for you to kind of describe your track record, or perhaps even give us a link to your website or portfolio, for example, or your Instagram, just to show reviewers your track record. So again, you don't have to, have this really fancy portfolio or fancy website. Reviewers are really kind of looking to get a sense of, is this person someone who has committed themselves to this creative discipline? Do we see them already working in this space? And that is, even if it's the last 12 months or the last 18 months, it shows that there is continuum in your work and there's progress, and you are dedicated to making this happen. All right, so we're going to go into tips in just a minute, but I wanted to put some deadlines in front of you. Sorry, Tim, is your hand up from the slide before?
No, I just haven't taken it down. Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. No, all good. Okay, so applications are open for an entire month. The deadline to apply is October 11th at 5 p.m. The application will shut down at 5 p.m. So this will come up in the tips, but please do not wait until the last minute to apply. We want to see applications roll in, but what happens sometimes and oftentimes is that you wait until the day of to apply to even open the application and see the questions, and then you don't have enough time to pull all of that information together to complete an application that you are proud of. There's a section in the application that asks for a recommendation letter. You won't have time if you open the application on October 11th, maybe even October 10th, to get that letter in. So please just be mindful of your time, our time, and give yourself enough time. I would get online today and open the application, create your account, and just check out the questions, think about it, put them in a Word document. You can save drafts in the platform that we are using. So take your time with this. Again, there's no rush, but I would definitely want you to give yourself enough time to complete this application. One thing that's a little different, if you've applied in the past, that's a little different this time, is that applications are open for both of the 2025 CEI sessions. So you can see on the screen the dates. We'll have the spring session that runs January to May, and then the fall session that runs August to November. Again, this is the same program. You just have the opportunity to put yourself up for either or, depending on your schedule. Let's say you're more available in the spring versus the fall, or you can click a box that's in the application that says I'm available for both, and then you'll be considered for both. So just keep that in mind. And then we talked a little bit about this, but it's really important to look at your schedule as you are applying, because we meet on Monday nights, and participants that get into the cohort must attend 8 of the 10 classes to receive the $1,500 stipend. So just keep that in mind as you're looking through your calendar and considering your application. Tim, over to you for tips.
Yeah, I do want to just underscore something that Sethu just went over. Because of the way that our funding has worked for this program, I want to underscore that to be a cohort member in 2025, you have to apply to this application period. We will not be able to have applications open for 2025 programs in 2025. You can, if for whatever reason you're not selected or you encounter somebody who doesn't apply this time, you'll still be able to audit, but we are going to select for both cohorts by the end of this year. That's not something that we've had in the past, but because of the way these are federal funds that have to be committed by the end of this year, a large percentage of them, and so that's why we're doing it this way. So that please bear that in mind. Just 2 questions that have come up in the chat that I want to address. One is, are the Monday night sessions virtual or in person? They are in person. We do not record them. This, because relationships are such an important part of the CEI experience, we want you in the room. We do a number of virtual trainings throughout the year, but this is something that we feel very strongly you need to be physically present for 8 out of the 10 times, at least, preferably 10 out of the 10 times. There's not a lot of fat in this program. Every moment we try to maximize for you. All right, here are some tips on applying. Sometimes I know when you apply for an opportunity, it can seem kind of vague or mystic, or you don't know exactly what you're supposed to do. So I find that to be, and we find that to be, an incredibly inefficient and kind of unfair practice. So we're gonna spell it out for you. We want to read good applications. We want you to write good applications, and we want you to spend your time wisely. So the first thing I would suggest, it's not on the screen, but it's exactly what Sethu just said. Whether you are actually going to sit down to answer the questions this week or not, before Friday, I strongly suggest you do exactly what Sethu has said. Go to Submittable, create an account that will give you access to the questions, and go through the questions, read them, see what we're asking for, and then sit with it. Do not wait. The other thing is, we want you to be specific. More does not mean more. We have word counts on the questions, but we're not asking you to do a college essay, and you don't get points for the most words that you could possibly use. It is very possible to answer the questions directly, specifically, and completely with few words. Sometimes people, I would say the most unsuccessful applications that we read and that our reviewers go over, and we have a team of reviewers that will, we have every application is seen by multiple people on multiple occasions. But people will write long, rambling answers that actually don't address the core questions. So when you go through those questions, ask yourself, what do they really want to hear? Not tell us what we want to hear, but what are they asking for? And if you have questions on that, you can actually reach out to us and we'll explain them and answer your questions. But we ask you in this for goals. We ask you for what is a challenge. We want to know, what are you as a creative entrepreneur facing right now? What are the obstacles in your way? What are the topics that you need help with? What do you really want to accomplish? And then have manageable goals. One of the things we see, like a good example of a bad example, is We say, give us some goals. One person will say, I want everyone in Charlotte to know who I am. Everyone in Charlotte cannot know who you are. And not everyone in Charlotte is your customer. So think a little bit about who do you really need to reach? That might be 500 people in a particular part of Charlotte. You knowing that and having taken time to think through that tells us you're serious. More words doesn't do that, but fact-based answers, specific answers, answering the question that's asked, that distinguishes you. Ella just asked a question, how do we reach out? We have contact information at the end of this slide. Seifu just put the right email address in the chat, and that is also, that email address is actually part of the application. So we're not going to hide from that. We want to hear from you. More tips on applying. We want to know, why is this important to you right now? Think about if you are, cast yourself into the future and you've been part of CEI and it was really successful for you. How was it successful for you? Why did it help you? What did you gain from it? We want to know that in specifics. You could say, but the more vague you are, the harder it is to gauge what we can really do for you and make sure that this program is right. We want to see examples of your work. And here's one thing, don't worry about, show us what you're really doing. Show us, scale is not necessarily something that we look for. What we're looking for is, are you someone who is regularly working on your craft, building your business? That doesn't mean that you've gotten there yet. If you're a sculptor, it doesn't mean that you have a sculpture on campus at CPCC or something. We'll take that you are, through your website or social media or what you share with us, that you are regularly working on this, that you're seeking out opportunities. We had somebody who applied a few years ago who said, I want to be a fashion designer and I'm working really hard. And then they sent a link to a website that had one piece of clothing on it. That's undermining what you've said. But if you're showing sketch work, or you can explain, hey, these are some of the things that I've done, even if you haven't had a show yet, but you can show us that you're actively working towards your goal. That's important. I'm with Seifu. We don't want you to have to spend hours and hours on this, but we do want you to spend good time answering the questions, and answering the questions as they've been written. And so I truly recommend, as somebody who fills out a lot of applications for grants and opportunities myself, just read what the questions are asking for, as I've said, and really think through what are they asking me? What will make me show that I'm very serious about earning some or all of my income and building not only my creative practice, but my creative business? If getting better at sketching is your goal and you're not as interested in making money from sketching, trust me, we will point you in the right direction for that. Seifu, I just lost the deck if you did too. But if you want to make money from it, this is the program for that. Letters of recommendation. Please, again, don't wait to the last minute. What we're looking for is a letter from somebody who you've worked with, preferably someone that you've either done business with, executed a project for, or has worked side by side with you and can attest to your work ethic. And that doesn't have to be long, but it should be somebody that can say, yeah, I worked with Seifu. She shows up on time. She listened to me. She synthesized the information. Hey, it could even be, we hit an obstacle. She was instrumental in helping us overcome it, or we worked through the challenge. We just want a sense of how serious you are about your work. Again, it does not have to be somebody, you don't have to say, yes, we built Mount Rushmore together. It can be someone who you've worked on a small project with, but can really attest to how hard you work and how seriously you take what you do. And I know I've been now long and rambling, but to really do take to heart short answers with details, bullets. I'm telling you right now, our reviewers have to read, in some cases, 50 to 70 applications. After a while, it gets hard to read all of that. But if you're able to answer questions with bullets, fact-based bullets, I promise you that's easy to read and conveys information really well. And don't, back to a point I've made a few times, you don't need to inflate your resume. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us where you are. We've had people in CEI that have been working creatives for decades, but they don't have solid business practices. We've had folks that just started their career, but they are working very hard to build the foundation of a long career. We want to be there for you on that. So tell us very plainly. Fancy language also doesn't get you any points over painting a picture for us of why this is important to you, why now is the right time, and what you're hoping to get out of this. And by the way, we know we haven't answered all the questions, so we'll open up to questions if in just a second. But I did want to underscore this. The deadline, as Sethu has said, is October the 11th at 5 p.m. Please don't wait till October the 11th at 5:50 or 4:50 to apply, because who knows? Your computer could glitch out. Try to get this to us a little bit earlier, because if you have not answered all the questions and or submitted your letter of recommendation by 5 p.m. on the 11th, we cannot consider your application. It's just not fair to the other people, and we want to consider your application. So please make all efforts to do that before 5 p.m. That's a Friday. So just bear that in mind. With that, both Sethu and I will come off of mute. If you want to ask a question, please go to reactions and raise your hand, and we will go from there.
And then before that, I'll just maybe capture a couple of these questions that have been in the chat. I assume if we offer classes, then you want to see classes. Tim, can I answer that?
Ella, yeah, go ahead. Ella, I guess you're saying that you offer classes as part of your creative practice. If that's the case, absolutely share those details. That tells us more about who you are, what you do, and what you bring to the table. Detail like that is exactly what we're looking for, right, Sethu?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Let's see if anybody, Julia, please feel free, and then Michelle. First, Julia, please come off mute and ask your question.
Awesome. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
My question was asked a little earlier in the chat, but I'm not sure that you saw it. And it was referring to your statement about just the parameters of what counts as a creative practice or, business. So I was wondering if you all had a list, or if there was a list provided for the county that we could reference in applying, or is it a case-by-case basis?
Go ahead, Sethu.
Julia, when you open up the application, we actually have a drop down. It asks you to select your creative discipline, and there's a whole drop down menu that you could choose from. So check in that list. And then if you have questions and you feel like maybe your practice falls outside of something on that list, there might also be like a, not one of these, but something else. So you can drop that in. But if you have a question about it after looking at that list, just shoot me an email and then we can talk.
Yeah, I would say the county does not define what the parameters of this program. It's us. And truly, one of the only ones that we've encountered in the past has been someone saying, I'm a yoga practitioner, or something that's purely mental health. And while we recognize that those are very valid and worthy and important pursuits, it just we feel it falls outside the parameter of this. But that said, we're also pretty open-minded. So as Stacey said, before you commit yourself to the full application, let us know. We'll ask questions, and if we can't help you with this, we'll commit to trying to find somebody who can help you with a similar opportunity. So,
Awesome.
Michelle, please feel free to. Oh, sorry, Julie, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have a follow-up?
No, I was just saying thank you.
You're welcome. Michelle Fernandez.
Thank you. Hi guys. I think yes, I had just along those lines. Like if I'm a therapist, I practice art therapy. The evolution of the business has started with like my own creative practice, and the vision is like a larger community space for like community classes, community art therapy, and like artist collaboration. So I wasn't sure if that fit under the criteria or not. So that was kind of
Yes, I mean you're implementing. You're actually creating art, right? I mean, you just said you're working with people to create art. You're collaborating on projects.
yeah.
That there's enough gray area. I think if you were saying, I'm a therapist, and it's more traditional therapy, or to say again, let's use a yoga example. If you're a yoga practitioner and you're doing standard yoga classes, that's different than if there is a visual or performance art aspect of what you're doing. So in that case, the way, as you're describing it, I think you'd be fine in applying with that. But explain, clearly the creative aspects of what you do and what's created.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Allison Grant. Allison, if you're still with us, please come off mute and ask your question. We'd love to answer it.
All right. I'm sorry. I was trying to do it. I'm on my phone and I couldn't figure out where it was.
I understand. How can we help you?
Yes. So I've been reviewing the application and I noticed a lot of the questions are based around like in the past 2 years, show the kind of work or projects you've initiated. And again, with like the letter of recommendation has to be from 3 years ago or within the past 3 years. I have actually a very extensive background in my work, but I put it on hold. I do theater arts and acting and playwriting, which unfortunately was really put on hold during COVID. And that same year, I also became a mom. So I ended up being a stay-at-home mom for the past 4.5 years. And I'm trying to kickstart my own business, teaching everything that I know. But a lot of my background would be older than the past 4.5 years. I do some teaching and lightly, but I would think that it would show me as a better candidate to go back into my history and show, get letters of recommendation. So I was just wondering what you recommend. I could scrounge some things up from the past few years that I've worked on, but I wouldn't say that would speak to my whole, what would you recommend for that?
So, Seifu, please feel free to jump in after I go. My recommend, the questions are open ended, so you can put whatever you'd like in them. The program was designed largely to help people who are kind of currently really working, actively working to rebuild this. In your case, you have good reasons why you don't have more recent examples. What I would suggest is you are welcome to give us examples of work you're excited about that you've done in the past, but it is important that even if you don't feel that they're impressive, that you demonstrate that you've been doing something within the recent past. Because I don't, again, we work very hard to make upwards of 80% of the training that we provide available to the public to serve everyone, but we are trying to stay true to our vision that, for people who are really actively working hard to build their careers, that this is kind of a booster for them, and that maybe cold starting a career might be, hey, come to some programming, do our stuff, and then you'll be a little bit more ready. I am not dissuading you from applying, Allison. I'm just saying, give us a sense of what you've done in the past that you're excited about, but still make a case that, yes, this is why I don't have as much recent work, but this is what I am doing. That is understandable.
Yes.
In the same way that we have, recent college graduates that have gotten into the program, they don't have a long, history either, but they're able to say, this is what I was up to in school, and this is what I've been able to do since I've graduated.
Right. Right. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. And as far as letter of recommendation go, I have worked with people in the past 3 years that could give me that, but I don't understand the part of the question that says it needs to be on letterhead.
That it needs to be. We're asking for something that's like a more traditional letter. I mean, we need to have a sense of who the person is. So if it's a company or it's an organization or a nonprofit, we'd like it to come on their digital letterhead, like with their logo on it. But if sometimes we get letters of recommendation that are they're in Arial font with no indication of really who it says, hey, Allison is great. You should work with her, Tom. I don't know who Tom is. I don't know who Tom is to you. I don't know what you did with Tom. I don't know where Tom is from. Right. So it's more important to say, we want a sense of what is your relationship with this person and why are they somebody who is in a position to say, yeah, I've worked with Allison and she's great. And here her work ethic is blah, blah, blah. And here's an example of what she did with me or for me. We also, and we say that in the way that we've gotten people that have submitted Yelp reviews. We've gotten people that have submitted text messages. Those, while I'm not saying that they're not accurate or they're not true, everything we do in the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative is to set, even the application process, is to help you with experience that you can carry forward into other experiences. And other grants or job opportunities are not going to accept recommendations in those formats, which is why we ask for.
Yeah, I understand that. I just didn't know what the letterhead was because my peers, while they're wonderful and super talented and very, they have a great background, I don't think anyone I know that I've worked with recently would have professors from my school would have a letterhead, but they don't have their own thing. Other actors,
Yeah,
and
it's less important to us that, because it doesn't have to be someone necessarily quote unquote impressive or official, but it is more important that we understand what the nature of your relationship is with that person.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate that so much.
You're welcome. We're well open to other questions. Does anybody else have something they want to pop into the, sorry, Shanicia, you said you have a question. Please feel free to come off mute and ask it.
Hi. Well, I think you already answered my question, but it's similar. So I have a business that was newly registered within the last year, but I don't have work to show through that business name, but I do have clients that I worked with. Would that still be considered as part of my track record as well?
Yes,
Okay.
you don't have to. We're interested in, we're looking at the distinction between you and your business. So, I mean, it's very possible. We have people that get into CEI and then choose to incorporate or have a 501c3 or an LLC either before, during, or after the program. So we're looking at the work that you do, and then you can, through the answers, explain what you want to explain about your current business. So it's more important that you can demonstrate this is the kind of work that I do, and it can be done inside or out of your current legal model.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Denise Jackson, please feel free to come up and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My question, I browsed through the application, and there was one question asking if you were, I believe, like a nonprofit, or I can't remember the other one, the other selection off the top of my head. My question is, my organization, I'm part of an artist collective. We are pursuing a 501c status, but we haven't obtained that yet, and that is a mandatory question. So I don't know how to answer that because we're neither of those options.
So I guess my question would be, are you applying as yourself or as the collective?
I am applying as on behalf of the collective to be like the one person that goes through the cohort.
I would say that for the sake of this application, you're applying as an individual.
Okay. Okay.
And if that means that you're, because here's something that is important. We do not allow, let's say, an organization to be the CEI member. So it's not like if you had a 4-person business, you and any of your partners could come. We are picking you. So in this case, Denise, you are very well. Your collective members can come and audit. You are welcome and encouraged to share everything you learn, with them. But we would be selecting you, not your collective.
Understood. Okay. Thank you for that.
Tina, you asked, can you apply for both? I'm not quite sure. Would you ask that question out loud?
Yes. So thank you. I was asking if you can apply for both classes. In case you don't get in one, can you be considered for either one?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's actually going to be very helpful because we might have, we may have we might have 80% of the applicants apply for one cohort or the other. So being able to be malleable like that and be in either would be, I think, is advantageous to you.
Tim, you are cutting out. So if anyone else is having problems hearing Tim, I just wanted to repeat what he said. Yes, you can apply for both cohorts. So there is an option on that questionnaire that says, I'm only available for the spring, or I'm only available for the fall, or I can do both. You'll just click, I can do both. And that gives us the flexibility to put you in either cohort.
Okay, thank you for that.
I'm sorry. Samantha, am I cutting out now?
A little in and out, yes.
I'll let you answer Ashley's question.
Okay. Ashley's question, can you be a for-profit business? Yes, Ashley, there's a choice to select for-profit or nonprofit. So absolutely, you can select for-profit.
I hope you guys can hear me. This class, although you can be a nonprofit, is set up primarily for for-profit.
That's correct. This class is set up primarily for for-profit businesses. We tend to have 1 or 2 nonprofit, an executive director of a nonprofit join. However, the classes, I think, tend to be more beneficial to for-profit businesses. Any other questions? Okay.
All right. Well, with that, I think we'll give you back the balance of your hour. Thank you for coming, and we will have another information session that you are welcome to attend. Please encourage your fellow creatives to apply for this along with you. We want to help as many people as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone had trouble hearing that, Tim was just saying to please share this application with any other, folks in your creative network that are interested in applying. Again, we still have a couple weeks until the deadline. We will have another information session on October 2nd. So if you have more questions, pop on at that info or session, or just send me an email. My email address is on the screen. And thank you all for coming. I will send a follow-up email to everyone who's attended today with these links and some additional information. So we're so glad that you made it out this afternoon, and we look forward to getting your applications. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.